Well, hey there team, and welcome back to the channel, and welcome to my overview of Skull and Bones. For those who want to cross it, I do reviews, but I also do overviews, which is to say I cover the first 2 hours of a game. That is plenty of time to figure out if it's for me, if it's for you. I can give you a bit of a temperature pulse reading, and it helps me triage what I will and won't review with what little time I have. So straight out the gate, let's front load it with this. Skull and Bones is a lot of fun. I'm actually having a really good time with it. I will likely review it, so who knows? It might burn me out, and we'll see, because this, at the end of the day, is an MMO, which is not something that I necessarily cover very often. And to be honest, I didn't really know what to think of Skull and Bones because I haven't played any of the betas. I knew I was going to cover it because I tend to cover everything Ubisoft gets. They've been kicking a lot of goals, honestly, in recent times, but there is a dark cloud hanging over Skull and Bones. It's been in development hell forever. And even though I try and steer away from it, everybody's making videos in the open beta about how much they don't like it. How much of that is true? How much of that is farming clicks? Well, in my opinion, this game's actually really fun so far, but you need to know full well what you're getting into. Let's just lay out some definitions, right? This game definitionally is an MMO action RPG, ARPG. So by actual on the line, written on the bloody tags of what it actually is, this is more akin to something like Diablo 4, Path of Exile, that sort of thing, than it is Sea of Thieves. The comparisons and the questions about Sea of Thieves will come up. Sea of Thieves, I wouldn't even necessarily call an MMO. Some people might. It is definitely multiplayer, but you have merging and shifting instances where other ships drift in, but it's actually kind of sparse. Like, there is interaction, but it doesn't give you the same vibe of, you know, running around the main city in WoW with pricks all over the place. This does. There's lots of little ships in the starter area cruising around trying to figure out what's going on, so immediately it has the mouthfeel of an MMO. If you're not okay with that, I don't know if this game's going to sell you. However, like I said, I don't really play MMOs, and I really like this, so it may just be the thing that gets you back into MMOs. Other thing worth mentioning is, like, Sea of Thieves is definitely a crew-based action game. There's not really an RPG arc to it. You can sort of level up your reputation as you play, but generally speaking, you don't level your character up. It's not an RPG at all. This is very much an RPG, but the action elements are there. So if you're looking for Black Flag, now granted, I haven't played Black Flag since it came out. This is definitely, you know, skill shots. It's not like you have auto-firing World of Warcraft type abilities, which I was kind of expecting going in. I thought that maybe the broadsides would auto-fire, something like that, and it would be just positioning. No, you have to manually, you know, right-click, left-click, fire all your shots, which is really interesting when you're fighting and scrumming against a bunch of dudes. You essentially, at least the ship I'm in at the moment, has, you know, port and starboard gunnery, but it also has a bow gun, and depending on when you're looking, you can fire them and they all have their own cooldowns. So if you manage to bite off more than you can chew, which is where I was shining, I was just scrumming with everything I could. You can fight things on 3 fronts with 3 cooldowns, and it can be quite frantic. On top of that, you're managing, you know, like your sort of stamina bar for your crew and like a quick repair kind of thing. So, you know, bloody health potions, mana potions, that sort of crap. But like the actual hands-on in-action pace, it's at its best when you're out there starting shit, pirating things, punching above your weight. One of the best things I've done so far is I found like a settlement and I raided that, and it essentially, you know, sent my crew across in a little cutscene, and you have to loiter in an area and they keep sending reinforcements, and it's a greed sort of biting off more than you can chew as they build up more and more like milestones of loot. The enemy keeps sending more and more bloody dudes at you and you just fight them off, and it's an absolute blast. I'm really enjoying it. I've got a ship that's got like a ram on it, ramming into dudes, and if you belt their health down enough, you can board them for extra loot, so there's an incentive to sort of not play with your food, but potentially tackle the situation from different angles. Yeah, and the more trouble you cause, there seems to be factions. Again, there's going to be a lot here, and this is just sort of your early thoughts. There's like a GTA police chase component to it. The more heads I crunch, the more dudes they keep sending at me. I've literally got like a star rating in the corner, and I'm just doing donuts in the ocean, taking on all comers, taking all their loot, bashing them, bashing their mates, and it's really fun. Then you take all your crap back to shore and you sell it, and there's a million things to upgrade and buy, and like, I don't know how microtransaction it is. That's not really overt, which is probably a good thing, to be honest, if I can't really tell. But there are a lot of like upgrades. It shows you all the crap you can unlock, and it's overwhelming when you open a store and you see 99 bloody things and all of them are locked because you have to upgrade or buy something or whatever. So there seems to be fidelity there, but I find it overwhelming because it's all just padlock conditional, and I'd have to sit there for half an hour to figure out what I'm doing. I did catch all the memes of, cutting down bloody trees and that sort of stuff in your pirate ship, but also, like, let's not be disingenuous in our assessment. This is collecting bloody boar pelts or herbs in WoW, right? It is the same thing in the same genre and the same sort of game. And I feel like the only reason you would really be down on that is if you legitimately don't actually know that this is an MMO game. Once you do know it, cutting down trees from your ship, it looks weird, but it makes sense because it's within the genre. Now, I'm not trying to carry water from the game, but I also, you're probably going in as a normie like I am. I've seen these videos crop up in my feed and people are like, oh, what is this shit in this game? And I'm like, well, it's just collecting bloody boar pelts, boys. Like, you're sort of making yourself look a little bit silly. And even then, from afar, I kind of assumed it was just some sort of MMO gathering mechanic that we were seeing. So yeah, look, it's an absolute hoot. You can play it solo. Which is a big advantage. Even, people will compare Sea of Thieves if they're into the pirate theme. And look, Sea of Thieves is kind of unplayable solo. It is a bit of a miserable experience, apart from people coping that play it for 10,000 hours and that, they'll fight me in the comments surely. But to them, I would implore them, give this a go. This is kind of your single player alternative in a way. You can party up, and I'm already getting things like ships, like I said, I'm in a ramming ship, but I had one that was a DPS ship, so it's using the trifecta terms in there, so I can't help but wonder, does the end game have, end-level dungeons where you party up and you have bloody tank healer damage? It feels like that, and given the genre, it probably will go that way. But much like those sort of games, you can get away with just grinding and playing on your own for a while until you get hardcore enough to potentially group up. But this is a bit of speculation. A couple of other things just real quick. I've also seen people sort of bashing it for someone in a presentation at Ubisoft, some purse string goose that knows nothing about games has called this like a quadruple A game, and memes ensued. The Australian price for this is $89.95, which, $90. That's what a AAA price game costs. Hey there, team. Scarlett in the editing room. I was just scrubbing through and listening to this, and I thought I would investigate further, and I checked the prices for this game, and yeah, the standard edition is actually more on consoles. I think it's like 110 or something. So I guess there is some weight to the criticisms of the quadruple A criticism or backlash. However, I'm still a PC gamer. I'm still going to treat it as the price that it is on PC, which is $90. I would just issue caution as well. You might not want this game to succeed and you're angry at it for the 4A bloody elite speak from the executives, but I've already called this out and I've been calling it AAA plus since mid to late last year. A lot of games, especially like honestly, Sega's, Capcom's, these sort of Japanese fan favorites have actually started gouging at an extra like quarter for their base games. In fact, I literally called it out yesterday on my Persona overview. That's a remaster of a 10-year-old game, and yet it's asking like $110 Australian. So just consumer beware. Sure, Ubisoft's getting on the train and pushing the price up, but they certainly weren't the first ones to throw the stone and establish it. And in fact, a lot of companies that maybe you love have already settled into this rhythm and set the pace. Not saying it's right, just saying Ubisoft doesn't seem to be the first ones to the party. Honestly, I enjoyed Black Flag, but I'm not one of the people that holds it in the pantheon of greatest games of all time. I always found it interesting that it's probably the most popular Assassin's Creed game, and yet it's not really an Assassin's Creed game, is it? It's a different gameplay loop altogether, but I digress. I recognize it's fun, and I loved it, and I'm enjoying sea shanties, all that crap's in here as well. It's pretty much Black Flag 2. And on that, I'm having a lot of fun. I don't play MMOs, and yet I can see myself going the distance and reviewing this for the next 20 hours because I'm having a really good time. So just be careful. Be careful what your feed's telling you. 90% of my feed's telling me this game's going to be shit, boring, crap, gouging, And honestly, I find a lot of people is kind of jumping the shark there and passing early judgment, because at least in my early impressions, it seems to be what it says it is on the box, and for what it is, it's a lot of fun. That said, I love being wrong, right? And I will eat my words and walk it back in the final review, which is likely coming. So many things for me to review at the moment, but this is definitely up there. Anyway, there's probably plenty more to talk about, but that's one of the things. Just be careful going in. You probably got a poisoned well experience going into this, and if you were like me, you probably don't even strictly know that it's an MMO or anything like that. Maybe you're expecting it to be a competitor to Sea of Thieves, which it is not. They're not even really in the same conversation other than being pirate themed. Right, beyond that, I'd be waffling. Team, might just leave it there for the time being, and I will catch you guys on the next one.